So another really cool ski boot to review for you guys today, and this one is the Salomon S-Lab MTN. Now the MTN has been developed by Salomon as a ski touring boot, but when we look at the construction, they've really put a lot of focus in making it a very burly and skiable ski touring boot. So sort of geared more towards that freeride, big mountain type skier, someone that wants to go backcountry, slack country, but still be quite aggressive. Now they've put a lot of unique features in its construction. We'll break it all down, but it is available in two different models. There is the MTN Explore, which is a 100 flex option, and there is this one, the S-Lab MTN, which is a 120 flex. Last wise, we're looking at a 98mm last, but it does feature Salomon's custom shell HD, so a fully heat moldable boot shell, which can be expanded quite easily. So when you consider the molding of this boot, their last range is between 98 to 104. Then taking a look at the construction of the MTN, materials wise we have a Grilamid shell combined with a Pebax cuff and a carbon fiber spine. So all around quite a lightweight ski boot. Now even though it isn't the lightest boot in this category, it still is a very respectable 1575 grams. Now the major thing which is allowing this boot to remain so lightweight but still have a lot of skiing power is with Salomon's SensiFit shell construction. Now to show you what that is, you can see along the side of this cuff, down the spine, and then right along the front of this lower shell coming forward from the pivot, they build these raised sections, and that's creating almost like a full reinforcement frame. So this gives this boot a lot of power transfer right down through the boot, but allows Salomon to keep the shell walls really thin and save a lot of plastic. And the other really unique thing on this MTN is how they build up their overlap. Now there essentially is 4 different layers as you work your way up this boot. Now starting right down the front, you can see there is a full gusset on top of the boot, which is a rubber and fabric composite. Now that's going to keep all the snow out as you walk. And then as we go to this lower buckle ladder is fixed to its own independent strap, which is riveted to the side of the lower shell. The cuff itself, pretty standard as far as design of an overlap cuff, but both of these elements are going across what I can only describe as an instep tongue. Now this instep tongue, you can see it's fixed to the gusset, it comes across, and then it has these inbuilt channels or grooves. So it's almost like it has its own sort of unique way this boot flexes. It's also quite an interesting way to secure the foot and also spread the load with the buckles. Now let's take a look at the main features of the MTN. Now it is a ski touring boot, so we do have our tech fittings ready for any pin binding, but also it is a touring sole. So an ISO 9523 touring sole, and Salomon cover theirs with a winter contour grip, which has a chevron pattern. Another major thing you'll see on the side, they have their oversized pivots, which they've borrowed from some of their all-mountain boots, such as the X-Pro S-Max. We do have only 2 buckles on this boot, but these 2 buckles do lock your foot in really well. They are lightweight touring buckles, saving quite a lot of weight. And the unique thing up top here, you can see the buckle ladder actually has the whole center of it milled out, creating a channel. Now the only purpose I can see for that is saving a bit of weight, but again, it's a pretty cool feature. Up top here, we do have a cinch power strap. And what's really cool about this power strap, not only is the cinch buckle, which is nice and robust, there's also a sleeve to tuck away any of the excess strap, but how they've mounted the strap. They've actually got a screw rivet to the side on the back of the cuff, and then they mount it a second time right on the corner and edge of the cuff. Now I haven't seen anyone do that before, but it actually offers a really good wrap of the lower leg, and so I think it's a really cool way to fix the strap to the boot. Another thing we have down low here is this little buckle. Now I'm not 100% sure on what that's used for. I can only think of something like crampons, getting some fixing. Maybe you want to attach your keys to it. or maybe even attach a leash or something similar to that, but you'll probably correct me, so let me know in the comments. I'm just at a loss on that one right now. And that's pretty much it for features, except moving on to the major feature on this boot, and that really is what makes this boot have such great range of motion with their Sure-Lock mechanism. So on the back of the cuff, to engage into hike or walk mode, you have this horizontally mounted mechanism. So what you can do essentially with this in one action, you can open into ski mode, you can release your buckle, and you're on your way. So really not a lot of fuss when getting ready to skin. So let's open up this boot and take a closer look at all the inner workings and also the liner. Now, when we look at the liner inside this MTN, it is a very lightweight, a fully thermo-moldable, touring-focused liner. So with it being touring focused, you can see they use very breathable fabrics in its construction. There is a handle on the tongue as well as the back of the liner to help get some leverage. There is some lacing loops if you wanted to add laces and get a very snug fit against the lower leg. There's quite a broad elastic going over the top of the instep, which is really great for keeping everything in place. And what they've also built in is some great articulation. So you can see this liner is going to flex with you when you are on that full stride on the skin track. So overall, a liner I'm very impressed by, and one that can be also washed very easily. So very lightweight. What's coming in the box as well, I will mention, you do get your laces included, and you also get a couple of shims. If you are looking to reduce that half size, you can actually get these in under the insole or your footbed to snug this fit up. Now moving to the inner of the boot itself. Now in the bottom of this boot, I'm not sure if you can see, I will do another close-up shot of this boot board, but the boot board is a foam boot board. Now there's two things that works really well for, and that is its insulation properties and also a little bit of shock absorption. Now with the ramp angle on this boot board, yeah, I'm definitely not going to be able to get it out of the bottom without ripping my fingernails off. So I'm going to leave it in there, but we have a ramp angle of 4 degrees. Now following on with the stance angles, when you do have this boot secured into ski mode, we have a forward lean of 13.5 degrees. But when you disengage the walk mode and you're setting your stride, this boot then has a full range of motion of 47 degrees. Now to show you in some more detail this Sure-Lock mechanism, as it really is such a simple design, yet it is really effective. Now I showed you before how to disengage into hike mode with that horizontal action, and that is what is releasing its clip from the spine. Now the spine itself is hinged from this lower point on the back, and when this is all released, you can see the cuff has full disengagement, and then this spine actually has some freedom to travel completely with the full range of motion with the stride of the cuff. Now when it's locking all back into place, you can see this spine when it comes forward actually interacts and locks into the side of these lower wings on either side of the lower shell. Then as your cuff comes forward and you want to secure back into ski mode, you lock it back into place, everything clips back together and is super secure. So what do I think of the S-Lab MTN? Well, I actually really love this boot. Now it is such a solid option for the backcountry. If you're someone that wants to go and explore a little bit more, ski aggressively, well then you may love it. Now it is a boot that just blends everything together, it does really well. Now spec wise, even though it doesn't have the greatest range of motion and it isn't the lightest weight, it is such a well built and robust boot that I think it sort of negates all of those factors anyway and combines its abilities to be one of the best in my opinion. So fit wise, you know, it is that narrower last, but it does have that moldability. I really think it's more of a medium fit. It feels a bit more moderate, so it's a medium fitting narrow last. Obviously you can get a little bit out with its moldability too. Instep height wise, also quite moderate. It's not super low, you've got a bit of freedom there. Fit up top is fantastic. It secures really well at the lower leg with this cinch power strap. It probably is just a little bit broad than what some people may like in the heel, but on a boot of this nature, again, I don't think it needs to be like a ski racing boot grabbing your heel. You want a bit of freedom so you can get on the skin track and not feel like you're locked into a vise. So I don't think it's actually a downfall on this boot. Maybe the only thing I'd like to see improved a little bit would be the liner, but overall the rest of the boot is really top notch in my opinion. So this is one, I'm going to take this on my next ski trip. I'm going to ski it. I think I'm going to change the liner out, but I'm going to mold these up, take them on snow, test them out. I'll give you a run down as soon as I ski on this boot, but it is a really, really nice option. So Stoke meter gets super high on this one. I'm going to give it a rating of 8.9. Thanks guys, catch you in the next review.